you look in your pocket right now, or maybe just on your phone, you have money.
Yeah,
A crumpled bill, maybe, or just a number on an app. But what is that, really?
right.
It's not just paper or code. It's a story, a huge story of human ingenuity and how we solved this massive problem just so we could, trade stuff.
And that's really what we're tracking today. We're going to follow that incredible story from the absolute beginning all the way to the instant digital payments you use every day.
Okay, let's do it. So absolute beginning. Before coins, before banks, there was just
Barter.
barter.
It's the simplest system you can imagine, right? It's just a direct exchange.
I have tomatoes, you're a blacksmith, we just trade.
Exactly. One item for another, no middleman needed. Sounds simple.
It sounds perfect.
Yeah.
But there was this giant wall that everyone immediately ran into. Economists have a name for it, right?
They do. It's called the double coincidence of wants.
Which sounds complicated, but it's not.
Not at all. Imagine you have a basket of apples. You want a new pair of boots. Well, for that trade to work, the boot maker has to want your apples at the exact same time you want his boots.
Right, and what if he doesn't? What if he needs, I don't know, grain for his horse? My apples are useless to him.
The deal collapses, and now you both have to go searching for other people. It's just wildly inefficient.
And you can see why that failed. As soon as societies got bigger than a tiny village.
Totally. And not just that. Think about the logistics. Carrying sacks of grain for miles just to buy something. People needed something easier, something everyone agreed was valuable.
So that brings us to the next stage. Commodity money.
Yeah, and this was a clever idea. It used items that already had natural or, intrinsic value. They were useful things.
And some of the historical examples are just wild, like salt.
It was huge. It was so important for preserving food that Roman soldiers were actually paid in it. That's where the word salary comes from.
No way.
Yeah. And people use other things too. Cattle were popular because, well, they could move themselves.
And you could get milk and leather from them. I've also heard of seashells, tobacco.
Right. But all these things had some pretty major flaws. The big ones were durability and divisibility.
Durability makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean, grain can spoil, salt can melt in the rain.
Exactly. And then there's the division problem.
This one is my favorite. You can't divide a cow.
Right.
How do you buy a loaf of bread? You give someone a quarter of a cow. It just doesn't work.
It's terrible customer service. And that's what eventually pushed people away from organic things and toward metals.
Like copper and silver.
Mhm.
And eventually gold. Because it was durable, rare, and didn't tarnish.
Exactly. And once we landed on metals, we were on the doorstep of one of the biggest inventions in economic history.
Okay, so let's pinpoint this moment. The first official coins. This happened around 600 BC in a kingdom called Lydia.
Which is in modern-day Turkey.
Hmm.
And get this, these first coins weren't even pure gold or pure silver. They were made from something called electrum. It's a natural mix of gold and silver they found in riverbeds.
But the metal wasn't even the most important part, was it? The real innovation. It was the stamp.
That was the game changer. These coins were stamped with an official mark, like a lion. And that stamp was a guarantee.
A guarantee of its weight and its quality.
Exactly. So you didn't have to carry a scale around anymore to weigh little chunks of metal every time you bought something.
Which must have made trade so much faster. And safer.
Oh, it was a revolution. It allowed markets to just flourish. The Greeks and Romans saw how well it worked and spread the idea everywhere.
But success creates new problems. As trade gets bigger, what's the next crisis?
The weight. The physical weight of all that success. Merchants trading across continents couldn't just lug around thousands of heavy metal coins. It was impractical and, frankly, dangerous.
So too much money was literally too heavy. This is what leads us to the paper revolution.
It is, and a lot of people think paper money started in Europe, but it actually first appeared in China, way back in the Tang Dynasty.
And it was to solve that exact problem of carrying heavy coins.
Yeah, it didn't start as what we think of as money. Merchants would deposit their heavy coins with someone they trusted.
Like an early version of a bank.
Sort of. And in return, they'd get a paper receipt, an IOU, basically,
Right.
that represented the value of their coins.
And they could trade with the paper instead of the metal. That's genius.
The government later made it official by issuing printed banknotes. But it took centuries for this to catch on in the West.
Why? What was the hesitation?
It was all about trust. People were used to money having real, intrinsic value. You could melt a gold coin, and you'd still have valuable gold.
But paper is just paper. It's worthless on its own.
Exactly. So governments had to make a promise. They had to guarantee that you could exchange that piece of paper for a specific amount of real gold or silver anytime you wanted.
And a quick fact, our modern bills, like the US dollar, they aren't actually made of paper.
That's right.
They're a mix of cotton and linen fibers, which is why they're so tough and can survive the washing machine.
And that idea of storing the gold and silver that back the paper, that's what created the institution of banking as we know it.
Banks started as just safe places, like vaults, to store your wealth.
Right, you deposit your gold, get a written note for it. But the bankers, they noticed something really important about how people behave.
They realized that not everyone comes to withdraw all their money at the same time.
Exactly. So they figured out they didn't need to keep all of it locked up. They could lend some of it out to help businesses grow.
And that lending process creates capital. It's like the fuel for the whole economy. And today, most money isn't physical at all. It's just numbers in a bank's computer.
That's right. And that brings us to a huge shift in history, the end of the gold standard.
For a long time, the government promised that every dollar was backed by a real amount of gold in a vault somewhere.
It was. That system kept prices stable, which sounds good.
It sounds great. So why on earth would we get rid of it?
Because it was too rigid. Think about it. If the economy goes into a deep recession, the government can't just create more money to help stimulate spending.
They'd have to physically go out and mine more gold first.
Right. It tied their hands. So by the middle of the 20th century, pretty much every major country moved to the system we have now. Fiat money.
Fiat. You said that means by decree. So it's money just because the government says it's money.
That's all it is. It's not backed by any physical commodity. Its value comes entirely from the trust we have in the government and the economy.
Which gives the central bank a ton of power.
A ton. They can control the money supply. If the economy is slow, they can increase the supply to encourage spending. If prices are rising too fast,
They can slow it down. It's like an economic thermostat.
that's a perfect way to describe it. It gives them the flexibility to manage the economy.
Okay, so money is now totally abstract, just numbers. Right. So we needed faster ways to move those numbers around.
First came checks. Then, in the 1950s, the plastic revolution hit. Credit cards.
Buy now, pay later. And then debit cards, which are an instant withdrawal from your bank.
And those cards, with their magnetic stripes and now chips, sent information securely and sped everything up.
But now we don't even need the plastic card anymore. It's all moving to digital banking.
Everything is on your computer or your smartphone. Paying bills, sending money to friends. It's all instant.
Yeah, think about getting paid. Direct deposit is so much faster and safer than a paper check.
And the newest thing is mobile apps and digital wallets.
Just tapping your phone to pay for coffee.
It's fast, it keeps perfect records, and for many of you, this is probably the main way you interact with money.
Which brings us to the very latest chapter in this story, and one that's still being written. Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Created in 2009. And the single most important word to know here is decentralized.
Meaning no single government, no company, no bank is in charge.
That's it. It runs on a global network of computers.
So if there's no bank watching over it, how do you trust it? How do you know a transaction is real?
That's the blockchain. You can think of it like a giant public book of records that everyone can see, a shared ledger.
Every single transaction is recorded there for everyone to see.
And before a new transaction gets added, this whole network of computers has to verify it and agree that it's legitimate. Once it's in the chain, it's pretty much impossible to alter.
So the network itself provides the security and the trust.
Exactly. Now, Bitcoin has a limited supply, which makes some people call it digital gold. But we've also seen its price can be incredibly volatile. It changes very, very quickly.
So what does all this mean for the future of money? For us?
Well, we're seeing huge changes right now. Many countries are actually creating their own official digital currencies. They're sometimes called CBDCs.
Central bank digital currency.
Right. And these could one day replace physical cash entirely, making everything faster and more traceable.
And with everything being digital, security becomes the #1 issue, protecting it all from hackers.
Absolutely. Which is why we're seeing the rise of biometric technology, using your fingerprint or your face to authorize a payment.
Connecting your identity directly to your money.
The form money takes is always changing with technology, but its main purpose, that's always been the same. It's just a tool to help us trade goods and services efficiently.
From trading salt for a day's work to tapping your phone for a coffee, understanding how all this digital value works is going to be absolutely essential for your future.
So here's a final thought to take with you. If physical cash disappeared completely and all money became digital, who do you think should be in charge of verifying it all? A government central bank or a decentralized network like the blockchain?
Something to mull over. See you next time.